What's going on YouTube? Burlington Northern HO fan here, and today is the day. We are installing a DCC decoder in a locomotive. We're going to be installing it in this Metra Walthers Mainline F40PH. The decoder in question that we're going to install, well, I have here the Soundtraxx Blunami, the new Blunami decoder. Not really new, it's a year out. It's been out for a year, but the 21 pin version is new. So I'm very excited for this. I've seen a lot of videos. I'm very excited to install this and see how this is going to work. So let's get into it. Let's install it. All right. So in order to do this, I have obviously the Blunami decoder, a 28mm speaker, and a wire to connect the speaker to the circuit board that's in the locomotive. So this locomotive I've already taken apart. We just have to take the shell off, just like that, and the plow popped off, but that's not a problem. I'll fix that real quick. Anyway, here we have our locomotive. I've already taken the speaker cover off of our locomotive, and we're ready to install this decoder. So here we have our instruction list for the decoder. So we have our telling us how to install it, our lighting outputs, our speaker installation, the specifications of the decoder itself, all the different DCC values and all that. So we'll use that. Our speaker here. And the decoder itself. I'm going to leave that in the bag just to keep it safe for now. And then we have our card here that goes with the speaker. Actually, you know what? I'm going to just go straight into it. I'm just going to plug the decoder into the 21 pin socket real quick. Okay, so here we have our decoder. And oh yeah, that's great. Alright, let's... Oh, and also, shout out to Lombard Hobbies in St. Charles, Illinois, where I bought this stuff. They sent me fruit snacks. Anyway, let's get this thing installed. So we're going to put the locomotive right here. Let's make sure we install this decoder properly. Give me 1 second. Okay, just like that, we've lined up the decoder and plugged it into our socket. Our 21 pin socket right there. So now that should be ready to go. Now let's work on our speaker, which in order to do that, we need the equipment that Walthers gives us, which is this speaker cover, which also doubles as the baffle. So that's pretty nice. And then we have our screws that we need to put the locomotive back together. So we have our bigger screws. These bigger screws are for the chassis to screw into the body, and these two tiny screws are for the speaker housing. Now, this wire is going to plug into the speaker socket on the motherboard. So I'm going to do that real quick. Just make sure we get it plugged in the right way. Give me a second. All right. And here we have our wire plugged into the socket. Now we're going to cut this end off, and we're going to solder the ends to the speaker terminal. So let's get a cutters. All right. So I did this off camera. I soldered the two wires to the speaker, and now everything should be good. Let's put it in the baffle. I'm calling it the right thing now as well. I'm calling it the baffle, what it's supposed to be called. Perfect fit. So yeah, 28mm socket, guys. The Walthers Mainline, I believe, well, at least this F40PH, the baffle is perfect for a 28mm speaker. So that's the speaker I chose. I'm gonna put a dab, let's say, of probably some hot glue on the other side, just to keep the speaker in the baffle. Just a little bit of glue or some CA maybe, and glue that in there, and then we'll put the speaker cover back on. We'll take it to the track, make sure it starts up and runs. And then we'll put the locomotive back together, and then we'll start messing with all the functions on the decoder and the Bluetooth functionality of it. All right, there we go. We have our speaker in the baffle. Now we're just going to put the speaker back into the hole, just like that, without hurting any of these wires. We'll screw her in with the 2 small screws that I showed earlier. Okay, screw that into place. Let's take it over to the track real quick. Now, Soundtraxx decoders, once you get power on the track, they will start up. The locomotive will start up. So if I did this correctly, it should start up the minute I put power to the track. So let's take it to the track real quick. All right, she's on the track. Let's put power to it and see what happens. Oh. Oh, wow. That's awesome. Let's get the shell back on this, and then we'll mess with the app. All right, we have the locomotive on the track, idling. It's making crew noises. Here we have the app on our tablet. Its locomotive is on the layout. It's connected to my train. We're going to go into standard. It's going to access it and connect to it. Okay. Now, if we honk the horn, we have access to it on our app. If we just start moving when we move the throttle. Pretty sweet. Sorry about that. Alright, anyway. So, now we have our bell. We have our headlight. Or that's a bell. Headlight. Headlight turned on. Take it off the stand here. Back up a little bit. Okay. So, if we go into functions, we have all our different functions here. If we pull out the side menu, nope, I did that wrong. I'm gonna do this off camera. I want to figure all this out real quick. Alright, I've got this thing pretty much worked out now. So, first thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go into my functions right here, and I'm gonna hit RPM plus. That's gonna turn the prime mover on. I did not want to do that. That's gonna turn the prime mover on. So now the prime mover's on. I changed the sound as well, so now it sounds like an F40. I changed my horn and the bell. The bell needs to probably be a different bell, but so we have that. And now we can go our functions. We have uncouple and decouple, straight to 8, grade crossing, and then if we go to this button, we have all these different sounds. We have cab chatter. Okay, sander valve. Probably can't hear it, but it's there. And then HEP mode. Now, if anybody lives in the Chicago area and they've ever heard one of these things, it sounds a lot like this when it's idling. there's HEP mode. So now the generator's on to heat the cars. Gonna interject some footage here. I had the wrong prime mover selected on this locomotive that whole entire video. So I fixed that. Let me just turn her on real quick. Give me RPM plus. That sounds a lot better. And then also, you can see I've done a little bit of weathering on the bottom of it since that footage. Now that is what it's supposed to sound like. Anyway, back to the video. But we'll turn that off because it's loud and obnoxious. But it's a pretty cool feature to make it actually sound like the real thing. So now, if we go to, we have fuel loading, we don't need all that, see all that right now. But, so we have all that. If we go into here, this is our settings. So we have our light settings, our brightness settings, our backup light settings, speed settings, our speed tables and all that, general settings, change the nickname to Matcher 130, DC address 3, we can change that real quick. We'll change that to 130. So now we have 130. If we were to use the regular DCC system, all I'm using the DCC system for right now is just 12 volts. And if you go back to this screen, it should tell you, yeah, it doesn't tell me, but it'll tell you how much voltage is in the track. So if we go back into the settings, we'll go back into our settings here. We have our CV. So you can change everything through the settings on the app, or you can go through the old CVs like you would normally do on a regular DCC decoder. So we can do that. We can go under our sound settings, master volume. We can turn that down a little bit because it is a little bit loud. We'll put that down to, let's say, 130. Maybe a little bit lower. Let's say 120. That should be a good. It's about what I have set my other DCC locomotives at. So we'll set that to 120. We go to our main sounds. We can set the volume of the prime mover. We can set the volume of the horn, the bell, the air compressor, our coupler noise, our poppet valve, which, if this is an older locomotive, it will have a poppet valve, which it is. It's an F40PH. It's made in the 70s, so it most likely will have a poppet valve. Especially if it's in this paint scheme, because it's not a rebuilt paint scheme. We have our auxiliary head-end power, our generator noise, and an aux horn, which we don't use. Other sounds, we go in here, we have our dynamic brake, radiator noise, alarm bell, low pressure alarm bell, train brake reply and release, independent brake, prime mover, cab doors, relay clicks, e-brake, glad hand release, coach board, all aboard and coach doors, the clickety clack noise, sander valve, which we can turn that one up a little bit because it's pretty quiet. Now we can use the slider. We'll turn it up to, like, let's say 39. Let's do 40. Okay. Air conditioner. We can turn that one up too if we want. Let's do that. Let's turn that up to, like, let's say, again, let's turn that up to 40. Wrenches, pneumatic oilers, toilet flush. Really? Toilet flush. Cab chatter. So, alright, those are all our other sounds. Other settings, grade crossing bell enable, engine auto start enable. That's when you get put power on the track. That's when you get 12 volt, or whenever you get 12 volts on the track, that's when you get power. It turns on. We turn that off. Quiet mode, you can make it quiet after so long. So, reverb output, and all that. Equalizer, automatic sound control, alternate sound mix. That's pretty much all the sound controls. And then we manage our function panel here. We can change all that, and we have a bunch of functions down here that we can add to. Like if we were to add lights, which I would like to do for this locomotive, because you can see that none of the ditch lights or the class lights are on the locomotive. I'd like to modify it and do that. So, but yeah. And then we have our dynamic digital exhaust. Let's do that real quick. We can be calibrating that. And you can see it's messing with the CVs. It's telling you what CVs it's messing with. And there it goes. And then setting it back to seat speed 0. And then calibration complete. There we go. So, I don't know if you guys can read what it says there. There you go. So what we're going to do to test that, I'm going to run this without any coaches or anything on it. And then I'm going to pull weight with it. And we're going to see what it's going to do and what its noise is going to change. So let's do that. The clickety-clack noise is a little loud. I might want to turn that one down a little bit, which I can do while it's running. So let me do that. Let's go into settings, sound settings, other sounds. There's our noise. It's going up and down. You can't see it at the moment, but it is over on the other side of the track, going up a hill. Let's look at our clicky-clack noise here. There's our clickety-clack. There we go. We've moved it down to 140. It's still there, but we can barely hear it. So I just messed with the CVs while it's running on the main track. It's a pretty cool app, I'm not gonna lie. Let's take it down a notch. We'll bring it into shot here. Alright. Bring it into shot. And I'm going to get some coaches for it. And when I said coaches, I meant freight. Let's see what it does. Wait for it to come around the bend here. That looks so wrong, but I mean, it looks good. Anyways, that's pretty much the gist of this whole setup. And I'm really, really happy with it so far. And I'll have to let you guys know what I think of it the more I mess with it. And yeah, but it was a pretty easy install. It was pretty drop in and just off you go. So I'm happy with it. But anyways, with that, I'm going to see you guys in the next video. Take care. Peace.